Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Talking About Rock. Each week, we bring you new rock interviews from around the globe. You can catch all our shows wherever you get your podcasts. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. Follow us on social media at Talking About Rock and our website, talkingaboutrock.com. On today's episode, we have for you a guitar legend and songwriter. He is best known for his role as guitarist and co-writer for the band Black Sheep, as well as the Lou Gramm band, and also a very successful solo career. He'll be chatting with us today about his new book as we catch up with this guitar great. Next, we speak with Don Mancuso on Talking About Rock. Okay, now we have joining us Don Mancuso. Don, how are you, man?
Good. How are you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great, doing awesome, man. Thank you so much. I was just, telling our audience a little bit about your background. You were born and raised in, I think, Rochester, New York, right? And started playing guitar at a very young age.
Yep. Yeah, I started at about like 6 or 7, and then I gave it up to play baseball for a few years. I think I came back into it when I was in junior high after I saw my first live band in junior high school in the gym. It was like, okay, I should have stuck with this.
Right, right.
That looks like fun.
Exactly. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the early days, starting up Black Sheep. How'd that kind of come about?
Well, I was playing in a blues band called Maelstrom at the time with a bunch of friends from high school, and I think that was maybe my second band that I was ever in, second or third band, and we were doing a show outdoors in this area of I think it was a grammar school field with houses surrounding it, like on the outside of the gates. It was like a neighborhood type of area,
Right.
and I had just gotten my first 50-watt Marshall 810 with the head, and it was purple. It was just I was ecstatic. So that was the maiden voyage where I had to dime it and see what it could do. And lo and behold, I woke the bass player from Black Sheep up off his girlfriend's couch. He had just come back from a little stint playing in Massachusetts with Black Sheep, and their guitar player had just left the band. And he walked over to me and said, "Hey, how would you like to audition for this band?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know who they are. I'll come down." And I went there, and they saw I had potential. That I was young. I was 5, 6 years younger than most of the guys in the band, but they liked my style, and they kind of helped me grow into it because it was something I had never done. Blues rock was a tough thing. I was doing what everybody was popular at the time. It was all up tempo, boogie and hard rock, and
Right.
it took me a little bit of grooming and work to come into this type of music, but it was worth it and a lot of fun. I learned a lot.
Yeah, and then you guys took some time before you started writing and creating originals and stuff.
Well, no, they actually had originals with Lou's brother on guitar that they had shopped, and they were kind of waiting on answers for, and we just started playing out and tightening up the band, and it was Stuart Allen Love. He was working at Columbia Records at the time, heard their demo and really liked it, and got a hold of our manager, Jim Taylor, and he wanted to come and see the band. He came and saw the band, and at that point he had left Columbia and was going to start his own production company. Open Love Productions and working with some of his friends in the booking and record business outside of Columbia. He encouraged us to keep writing, which we kept doing while we were playing and keeping the thing alive.
Right.
And he got us an audition at Max's Kansas City on the first round, um, opening up for Al Cooper, I think it was, which was it was hysterical. It was the first time I ever played in New York, and I was like in shock. We had like four guys trying to carry this Hammond B3 up a stair like that and about that wide, trying to get around corners because
Right.
Kansas City is very famous, but it's not big.
Yeah, and all the equipment then was real heavy and bulky and
It was big. I had, my cut down rig was one stack of Marshalls. So, I'm in this little like bar and I'm trying to figure out how to get my sound, without blowing people out of their
right, right.
20 feet away. And, we managed to, get around it and do it. And it was good. We got signed to Chrysalis. We were the first American act signed to Chrysalis Records. And we did a single called Stick Around with a B-side, Cruisin' for Your Love, which did okay. It did nominal sales. I guess it was a hit in Knoxville, Tennessee, of all places. I don't know why, but I remember opening for Blue Oyster Cult, and after we finished playing, I went out to go watch them, and everybody was gone. I'm like, what?
Really?
I asked the security guy, what the heck happened? Did they call in a fire alarm or a bomb scare? And he said, oh no. He goes, you guys are the ones getting airplay. They've seen these guys before.
Wow. Like what time frame was this, would you say?
74.
74. So before they were big, really. They were just starting kind of too before they really hit.
Yeah, they hadn't hit with the TV end of it. They had hits on the radio, but they had gone up and then came down again. So that was one of their. I mean, every band has lulls. That was one of their lulls, and they were strong enough to draw 1,000 or 2,000 people at the auditorium, no problem. But I guess since we were getting airplay and the big deal on AM radio or whatever it was.
Right, right. If you can cross between back then, if you could get played on AM and FM, that was a huge thing back then, right? If you could cross that barrier, you
Yep.
know. And you guys did some touring with some other folks too. You did some tours with Peter Frampton, Kiss, and Ted Nugent also.
Yes, we did shows with Ted Nugent and Peter. We only did one show with Peter Frampton. It was during the no, it was before the Alive tour, before he got big.
Yeah, that blew him up. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were supposed to be a band called Montrose who had a hit on the radio like the month before, so they bailed on the tour and went on their own tour, which they were doing great. Frampton hadn't really had any hits that big yet, so we opened up and we ended up getting booed off stage.
Oh my gosh.
It was the first and the last time it's ever happened, but it was a good experience. It's humbling.
Right, right, yeah. But like you're saying with Frampton, that was when they were kind of just starting to figure out that the live albums were the thing to show these people to go out to shows, right? So they obviously, Peter Frampton blew up huge with that, and then Kiss saw that and they did the same thing. And that's why when we started getting a lot of live albums for people to see, hey, this is what's happening here. And that really, took Peter Frampton's career to the next level for sure.
Yeah,
For sure, definitely.
that was the big one.
So after that, so with Black Sheep, so then I think Lou moved on to Foreigner at some point during then, right? And you went and
Well,
studied classical guitar?
yeah, he actually he was being approached by Foreigner while we were touring on the last tour with Kiss and Hall and Oates and some other people that were out, and he wasn't going to go because he wanted to finish up Black Sheep. He did that, and then he came off of that and was, we were all like just flailing for 6, 8 months, and he waited until Mick could come up with the money to really get, because he knew what the story was. You need marketing, you need press, you need this, you need that, and it's all. So
Right.
he waited until they came up with a couple of investors, and then he went and did the audition, which was I think the name of the band was Trigger then. It wasn't even Foreigner yet.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. It's so much easier today to promote, right? There's so many tools and social media and different things that are free you can do now. But yeah, back then you had to, print up stuff or get newspaper or magazines and
they did the other end of it, billboards, radio stations.
Mhm.
It was heavy money, but you still had to have the great music to back it up, and if you're getting airplay and you're paying for it, you better make it good.
Exactly, exactly. So then you went to, and like I was saying, you went and studied some classical guitar and did some rock fusion, I think, in New York City, right?
Well, no, the thing I did in New York was actually with the singer from Stories, Ian
Ian
Lloyd.
Lloyd, yeah.
Was Bruce Turgan, the bass player in Black Sheep's solo thing. He was doing a demo, and I went and did that. And I was also working in Rochester with a band called Aurora, which had Mark Miller from
From
Talus
Tallis, yep.
and Papatrone from numerous bands around the Northeast, and Greg Brown on bass. We were mostly an instrumental prog rock band, but we had a lot of good originals, and we did have vocal work where Pat would sing it. But yeah, I did that, and then I moved out. Initially, I moved out to California, and I gave up music and just wanted to study music and classical guitar. So I got an associate's degree at the College of Marin in sight singing and something else. It was just to have fun. And I was going to give up music forever.
Yeah, yeah. You're kind of done with it at that point, you thought, in your life.
Yeah, you go from riding in limos and signing autographs to riding on the back of a garbage truck. It kind of sets the stage for that.
Right, right. Knocks you back down for sure. So, but you did eventually come back to Rochester and you started playing around with bands like Cheater, I think was one of the first ones you started playing with.
Yeah, that was the big one. I mean, because Lou is on top of the charts at that point. So this band had a lot of talented people, writers, and we had a really unique sound. Was kicking butt. I think one year we played 380 shows or something stupid like that. But
That's
it,
amazing. That's amazing. That's get that type of, and you had what was it, the 10-inch EP 10 Cent Love Affair with
yeah,
Cheater, right?
that was great. The artwork was done by a Buffalonian.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's
Oh,
excellent.
yeah, a
Re-
famous one from the 80s. I can't remember his name, but he used to do the cartoons in the newspaper. He had
Oh,
a
very cool. Very cool. I have to look out for that if I can find that around. I love collecting stuff that's memorabilia that's Western New York related type of things. That's excellent. So
yeah.
was it in that time that you started doing stuff with Phil Naro and thinking about DDRIVE?
I had been doing stuff with Phil Naro actually before I even got into Black Sheep. We worked together and kind of hung out, and then when Black Sheep came out, our first album, I came home from the 10 years after tour that we were doing, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, your buddy Phil is paying your dues from your record. You got to go see it. It's great." Of course, I shot right down there and hooked up with him, and we started writing and hanging out together if and when we could, which was rare because at that point he was just moving up to Toronto and had a lot going up there. He did
Yeah,
well.
yeah. He had a couple projects I know going on at once up there.
Oh
So, but
God, yeah,
then you
he got
guys
that.
think, what's that?
He got the one Grammy for singing that one song for the children's show.
Oh, the children's show. Yeah, that was very cool when I was reading about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I didn't even know. They go, "Hey, look at your buddy Phil. He wrote this song for this TV show."
Right. I think a lot of folks really, really didn't realize that. I brought that to the Rochester Music Hall of Fame's attention on some of the information I sent to them. So, but yeah, that was pretty neat. He definitely had an interesting career, a lot of things going on. You
Oh yeah,
know,
great.
so you guys, how many albums did you do with him and DDRIVE?
We did 5 with DDRIVE. I played on 2 of his on Glass Mountain. I appeared on 2 songs because the deal he had for that was with Japan, a company in Japan, and they knew who I was. So they told him, if you can get him to play on it, we'll get you extra money, and you just got to put out, stick around. So yeah, I got to play with him on that, and then we did a couple other projects together with other friends like Steve Rosenberg. I think we did a couple songs for him. We co-wrote a couple songs for other bands that weren't really, huge bands, but yeah, we did a lot together. It was devastating losing him because he's been my main writing partner for God 30, 40 years. I mean, it's when you get used to it's like marrying someone and getting used to living with them.
Right, right. He seemed to be such a great soul and an inspiration to so many people starting out in all different areas in Western New York. You know, I hear a lot of that from different folks. Just all the things that he did is just
Yeah, actually all over the world. I mean, he knew people in Europe and he had people in Japan, and he was always encouraging and nurturing whatever he could.
right. And I didn't realize that he knew the artist that did the 2112 album cover.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
I
that.
I didn't realize that he knew Hugh Sign, because I was asking Mark about the Talus album cover. I'm like, oh, that was pretty neat idea you guys came up with for that. We're talking, and he's like that was because of Phil. That was done by Hugh Sign. I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm like, that's very, very cool. So yeah, I was always learning new stuff about him all the time. But you worked also with a host of lots of other folks, like you're alluding to. Some of the stuff I was reading here, you also worked with Ian Gillan, obviously Deep Purple and Black Sabbath fame. You did some work with him as well. Can you tell us a little bit about some of that?
Yeah, it was a month-long tour of it was called Rock Meets Classic, where they get a bunch of like platinum artists, mostly singers that they put into a group, and they do a tour with a symphony orchestra behind them. So they'd hire the Prague Symphony Orchestra would be backing up these bands. So I went there with Lou, and I was basically covering the 4 or 5 songs he was doing for his show. And then at the end, we would all go on and do, I think it was Smoke on the Water or one of those.
Right.
But it was fun. He had a lot of great stories. We used to sit up like all night listening to that guy tell stories, boy.
Ian Gillan, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's very, very interesting. I remember, because I didn't get to see him obviously in the Purple days, but when he came back around and he was singing with Black Sabbath for a while, I think it was for the Born Again tour, and he just had this amazing hair. I don't think I ever saw his face through the whole concert, because he just had this awesome big huge thing of hair. I'm like, that's the hair I want. It was just
Yeah,
very cool
right.
back then,
That's the
right?
hair we all want.
Right. It was just very, very cool. So not only are you a great guitarist and songwriter, you're also working on a book you're telling me about. You want to talk a little bit about that? What's going on?
Yes, nothing's going on with it. I have I have people threatening me left and right, going, "I want to write it. I want to help do it." And I've got a lot of the like the background and stories and verbiage just scattered out in a file.
Mhm.
Now it's just a man, and I keep coming up with more every day. Every time I talk to someone from that era, they go, "Oh, you forgot about this, when you met, you know, this
Right. Yeah. So you're in the developmental stage still, kind of putting everything together and kind of going back to people and talking about different things. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
no,
that's great, because yeah, you can add all these little extra inserts, and they may have, photos and cool stuff to add.
yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. I really want to do it. I enjoyed Lou's book, but I think I could probably do something a little more interesting with it, because he didn't, he remembered most of what his career was and the important parts he wanted to make sure came across, but with his memory issues, it was tough. He had to go with what he knew.
Right. Right. Exactly. But it's great to see him out there performing again. I see he has, shows coming up. He's going to be doing the All Stars thing and playing different places. So that was great to hear that's going on. And I was also reading you recently worked on something with Lisa G, an EP called Love Thing with Carmen Peace on there and James Lomenzo. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was a sweet project. I worked on that over the last year, mostly all session work, and with Carmine producing it and playing drums on it, it turned out really well. I mean, we're getting ready. I think she's getting ready to release the first single in another month or so. She's with Deco Records.
Deco Entertainment. Yeah.
Yep.
Very, very cool. So
yeah, that was a fun project. He's a great guy to work with. He really,
yeah, he seems excellent. I only got a chance to meet him just once at a show. Hopefully, I'll be talking with him soon. We're gonna have Vinny on probably in a couple of weeks. They'll be talking about some of the stuff that's going on with them. So that'll be really, really cool. But you're a busy guy, besides, putting stuff together for your book and doing lessons. Looks like you have a whole list of shows coming up. I was going through some of your dates here.
Yeah, too many actually. I'm like I bit off more than I can chew, because nowadays you can't just really work with one band and really make a half a living off it. You have to be in a few different projects.
Right, and that's what I see from everybody. Everybody's in like 2 or 3 bands, depending on kind of what's happening. And they just kind of shift back and forth, whatever, whoever's recording, whoever's touring. And I guess that's kind of the way you have to be right now. I mean, we're back in the day that you could be in the one band, just try to make it huge, and
I would kill that again.
Right. That's how it was back in the day, right? You were just loyal to that one band. You wrote with those guys, you hung out with those guys, they drove you crazy. But now it's like you got to cultivate, you got to have a couple irons in the fire,
And it's not conducive for having a band that's really gelled well and has a style. It makes it hard.
It's got to be extremely hard to do that for sure. And then you also see some of these musicians, like take for instance like Billy Sheen. He hasn't played with a couple of the bands in a couple of years, like the Winery Dogs and Mr. Big. He's got that going on again. And then they go back out though, and their Winery Dogs are crushing it, definitely. So I was so glad to see that. I couldn't believe that some of the promoters in our area hadn't booked those shows. I don't know what they're thinking about, but
it's all money.
Well, yeah, we know that's what it is, but come on, these guys are selling out like almost every show.
I think that would be the clue.
Right. And I know they're going to Japan and they're doing the Mr. Big the big finale thing with that, and they love Mr. Big in Japan.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be huge there. But I'm sorry, we're getting off track. We're talking about your dates and stuff. So you got it looks like July 2nd coming up in Franklinville, New York.
Yep.
And then you got July 3rd at Beachcombers.
Yep. We got July 7th at Photo City with the Zeppelin tribute that I'm in. That's one of the more popular ones. The Songs Remain.
Yes, I've heard tons about that band all over the place, and I've been meaning to go check that out and see what that's like. I've seen a couple of the other Zeppelin tributes, but I haven't seen that one. I've heard nothing but great things from the folks in Rochester out there. I try to get to a couple shows here and there out there, when I can.
We used to play Buffalo at actually we still do play Buffalo at what is it, Rob's Club there. Can't think of the name of it. The really big ones. You got a beautiful stage. We did Lips Turn Blue there too when we did our release party. Can't remember the name.
Rock in Buffalo or something, or
no, it's
one of the bigger places, right?
Yeah, it's one of the larger places. It's like an 800 seater, 1,000 seater. It has a huge stage, and it's over. Oh, where is it? Can't even think of the name. Now I gotta look it up.
I'm sorry. That's all right.
No, I can't think of the name. I should be hyping his club too.
Right. Right. Well, there's not as many venues as there used to be back in the day, right? I remember, so I didn't get a chance to see some of this stuff. I just kind of know of it growing up the stuff around the Buffalo area. Like, Uncle Sam's was a big club back in the day. The After Dark was another big club back in the day around here. That's not around anymore. For me, when I was growing up, it was the Salty Dog Sky Room and September's were the big bars around here to go see rock, and then Impacts, obviously, that was one of the big ones too, in the areas. It's good to see though that we're getting more. They're opening more venues. There's new stuff coming up all the time that I see happening. They're putting together a new music place on what used to be the Trout Music Hall.
Oh yeah,
in downtown. So they finally closed down the Trout, but another person bought that building and it's developing. That's going to be a new music venue in there coming up. I think probably next summer. That'll probably open over there. But yeah, lots of stuff going on. And I know Rochester's just busy with shows all the time. I see stuff going on there.
Yeah, a lot of it's on the east side of town, like Fairport and that area. They have like probably 3 to 5 different entertainment venues.
Yeah, and I know the bands at the Barnard is starting up. They have a lot of different shows going on there. And a lot of times I try to hit Buncie's. I need to get up to Iron Smoke and check out. And there's a Whiskey River, I think, is a newer one.
Yeah, I'm playing there Friday with the Billy Joel tribute.
I just saw that today online. Yeah, that's really, really very cool. Yeah.
I'm hoping the weather holds out. All these shows have like 4, 5 shows in 4 days, but like they're all outdoor venues. So I'm like,
I know it's very iffy right now. Like, and the weather here's lately has not been so great. Yeah, some of the shows they had to cancel some of the outdoor shows last a couple of weeks out here. But I know the Rock Fest, weather was good for that when we had it. They had the one at Sharky's that was good, and they had Taste of Country, Country Jamboree. Those all went off pretty well. So, but yeah, you don't know, right? If you're doing outdoor and it's not covered, you just don't know.
I know it's tough, and there's not much you can do. The weather around here where we live is wait 5 minutes if you don't like the weather.
Right, wait 5 minutes and it'll change. That's exactly what I tell people all the time. If because they're always complaining, oh, I like this, I like that. It's too hot, it's raining, whatever. But
yeah.
But yeah, so very, very cool, man. So you got so much stuff you're working on. Well, I really, really want to know how things are going with your book, and I hope you'll stay in touch and circle back, and maybe we can talk about, what's getting put on that. Maybe give me a little taste of some of the stuff coming up. We can start talking about that a little bit more. And I'm definitely going to come out and see the Songs Remain. That's going to be very cool, and definitely got to get out there to see you again.
Yeah, definitely. You can see me anywhere with one of 3 or 4 tributes, or I do a solo acoustic thing with the drummer and singer from the Led Zeppelin show that we do. That it's pretty much like an unplugged, drummer plays cajon and I play acoustic guitar, but it's a fun gig. People seem to really like it.
Excellent.
Now, with another country artist too, young kid, 24 years old, 24? No, 25 years old, I think now. AJ Hilton.
Okay, yeah. I think I just saw something posted about that, yeah.
He he went to Nashville and recorded a couple of his own songs, and he's been kicking butt. He's got a great voice, and he's got the personality for that. He's really good with people.
Yeah, you got to definitely have that. And all the folks, it was amazing to me in the last couple of years how many folks moved out to Nashville. You know what I mean? It seems to be like Nashville and Vegas, they're kind of bebopping back and forth now. That's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, most of my friends and family are moving south somewhere and trying to get out of New York State.
Right. Yeah, I totally understand. Well, again, man, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it, man. I hope to talk to you soon, and keep in touch with the book and what's going on, man.
I will, and I'll let you know when the release dates come up on the few projects that I'm working with right now, and maybe we can talk about those too.
Excellent. All right, man. And if you folks out there have comments or questions, please feel free to email us at talkaboutrock@gmail.com. You can like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for this show, it'll be dropping to all the streaming services, and the video will be available on YouTube. Don, again, man, thanks for joining today.
Thank you.